Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, got another weekly analysis for you. Like always, on the screen are the pairs we'll be looking at today, but make sure you stay to the end of the video because I will be going through each pair, analysing what happened this week and potentially what could be happening next week as well. So with all that said, guys, let's get straight into it. Okay, so first up, like usual, we've got Euro USD, and as you can see for this pair, we had some continuation to the downside this week. Again, we were overly bearish on this pair, but it's been a bit difficult to find some really good clear setups. As you can see, pretty much we've been consolidating for Euro USD until we've seen this break here to the downside. But I did say last week on my weekly analysis video that as long as we do stay below this level here, price will probably continue to the downside, break above, and we might be coming to test some areas up there. But you can see the continuation to the downside. Again, some fundamentals did help with that move, but essentially the market just continues to be bearish. But we do have some downside targets that we're expecting price to hit. We've already hit one of them already, which is this big wick here on the left. Price never got the retest of that area when we broke through, and again 90% of the time you do see price come back and retest levels once they do break. If not straight away, eventually price will come back to those areas, and as you can see here, we eventually have come back to those areas, and this is the second wick I'm expecting price to come and test, which still hasn't done it yet. So I'm still expecting a little bit more downside for USD. Again, the market is still bearish, so you know, pretty much momentum is with the bears anyway. So for this one, it will be nice to see a bit of a pullback to look for selling opportunities. You can look for buying opportunities. I'm not too sure if I will because the market is so bearish. You can see if I get this trend line here, the market is coming into this trend line, which has been acting as support for some time, so potentially we could see a move to the upside. It's not really the highest probable opportunity, so I'm not really looking for that. But if we can get a pullback, because this area here, price support on the daily, turn resistance, if we come back and retest it, again has not been retested. So if we do come back up to that area, we could see a nice selling opportunity. You can see pretty much just a repeat of what happened here. Price had really nice support there on the left, broke through, never got the retest. Eventually we did come back and we did sell off to the downside. So looking for a pullback coming into the week for Euro USD. Hopefully we can see a move to the upside kind of first half of the week, and then in the next half you can see some downside. So looking for some sells in this area. Again, we'll be waiting for confirmations and all of that because don't want to just stick a random trade there where price could easily break above if it wanted to. So looking for sales around this area, 1.15300. Now we'll be looking for a push down into those lows, and if you go and hit that wick, which is around the 1.14 area, that will be a really nice target as well. But just to be on the safe side, we'll probably push to the lows of wherever price finds support. So for Euro USD next week, simply waiting for a pullback. The market is very, very bearish in the higher time frames and just looking to continue that momentum. So looking for a break and retest of that low at 1.15300, and we'll set it back down to lows. Okay, so up next we've got USD JPY. So for this pair, we did see a big move to the upside this week. Again, I was expecting more continuation to the downside for USD JPY. We do have previous resistance here on the daily, which we never came back to retest at 112, really nice psychological level as well. So we have some targets down there for USD JPY. However, we did see that push to the upside. We are still holding very, very key level of resistance here on the daily, which price can still fall to the downside from. If it keeps up rejection, then we could easily still see another swing to the downside, because we still do have to remember that on the higher time frames like the weekly chart, you know, we are still very much in a weekly level of resistance. You can see all those wick rejections there and really big moves to the downside from those areas, and we're back at that same area again. So we can still see a move to the downside, and we still do expect to see some of this bullish momentum retrace soon enough. Yes, we could still continue. That's, you know, the trend into the upside, momentum to the upside on the weekly, so we could still continue. But on the daily time frame, if we can hold that resistance, selling opportunities will be looking good. And same as last week, target still at 112. However, if I go into the 4H time frame, we do still have this trend line here. However, if we do take out that resistance and take out this trend line, I believe the market will probably still be bullish and probably will be heading up to some new highs, which I'm guessing around the 115 mark, the next psychological level past 114. So there probably will be some buying opportunities if we break through this and start holding above that, and then we'll probably just see a continuation of that momentum on the higher time frames. You can look for entries on the break and retest of this level here. If I just get rid of that line, break and retest of that level, there could be some nice entries, and ride that up into 115, which is all the way up there. If not, which the main move I'm looking for is if we can hold that trend line there, hold that resistance coming into next week. We'll be looking for either two types of trading opportunities: the break and retest of this low here. So wait for price to break, retest, and then we can look for sells to the downside, with mainly targets being there, but you could leave some positions to trickle down to see if you can hit 112, or you can wait for price to push up again, form a double top or triple top, whatever happens there. Just reject it again, show some nice rejection, and you can look for sells around that area there as well. So overall, as long as we can hold below that resistance and that trend line, expecting a move back down to lows, break above it, probably seeing some new highs at 115. So our bias right now for JPY is to the downside, because we're still holding below those levels. But if we do break above, we'll flip the bias and look for buying opportunities on the retest back up to 115 for next week. Okay, so next up we've got USD CAD. So USD CAD, we were looking for sells for the week. However, as you can see, we saw a big push to the upside, so we didn't really get any opportunity to sell the market. But the market is starting to look a little bit more bullish now for USD CAD. We're still overall looking for sells. Reason why? Because we saw this big collapse to the downside, taking out so many levels here. Understanding that the momentum on the higher time frames is to the downside, so we're treating this bullish move here as a pullback, looking for price to eventually come back down to lows, potentially create new lows as well. So we're overall still looking for sells for USD CAD. Was looking for a retest of this level here on the left, because we did have really nice support here, big push up, broke through the level, looking for price to retest that and for continuation. However, you can see price broke through it very easily, and in the 4H you can see there was no real sign that price was holding, and price broke through that quite easily. So we didn't get a set up anyway, but we are looking quite bullish there on the lower time frame. So I'm still looking for sells. You can see we broke through 1.25, so our next psychological level is 1.26 up here, which is really showing signs of rejection, which is a good sign. We're coming back into this support here, which was the last up move before the big collapse. So last up move, big collapse to the downside, looking for price to come and retest that, and looking for some downside from that area. Going on to the 4H time frame, you can see we've got resistance here on the left, and price never came and retested this area, so really nice resistance there, broke, pulled back to the downside, broke through that, never got the retest, and as you can see, really clean price action to the upside. The market ripped to the upside with not much pullback, so if we do sell off, there's not much traffic there, so we could see a nice clean drop to the downside. So looking for sales for next week. We're rejecting 1.26 and that key daily zone. Hopefully you can get another retest and we don't just drop when the market opens, and then looking to sell it back down into that level there. Like I said, in the higher time frames, we could go a lot further, potentially even back down to lows, but not really looking for that opportunity this week. Just looking for a push back down into this level here, and if you go further, we can still look to capitalize on that move later on in the week. But right now, looking for a test of this level, since we never retested it. We're at a nice key area on the daily, and looking for a push to the downside for next week.
Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you're finding it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video.
Okay, so next up we got Euro Pound. So overall for this pair, we still do have a bearish bias. You can see the market is still making lower lows and low highs. It's a very weak downtrend. We're seeing quite aggressive pullbacks here. Potentially, it's a sign that the price might eventually reverse and start forming a bullish trend, but as of right now, we're bearish, so still overall looking for selling opportunities. You can see here we came into a really nice level, which I said if this does hold, we'll be looking for selling opportunities here to take it to the downside. back into this support here, and if we can break through that, potentially these lows all the way down there as well. So you've got some targets to the downside there for euro pound. We haven't quite tested this low yet, so we could still see some downside there. You can see a really nice reaction quite early on. The market gapped up, tested that area quite quickly. Strong reaction there. Again, euro pound kind of just, you know, choppy price action, having a pullback, and starting to see a bit more momentum towards the end of the week. So like I said, the market's still in a downtrend, still expecting a test of this area there, and if we can break through that, expecting a test of that area there, the best opportunity for euro pound would be if the market was to retrace back to highs, and then we can get another sell-in, just because the risk to reward would be a lot better. Looking for sells here into that support is again not the wisest idea when we could reject that area and see some upside. So if we do see a pullback, we'll be looking for selling opportunities up here. I'm not sure if we will get that pullback, but if we do, you know, the risk to reward is looking very healthy, and overall looking for a push into those lows. If not, we just have a break. We'll look for the retest of that level. You can see was holding a resistance previously and did send us to the downside nicely as well. So we'll be looking for the break and retest of that area as well. Looking for a move down into, was that 0.84 600. So overall sell bias, not looking for any buys really. As long as we can stay below that, won't be looking for buys. So again, guys, looking for a retest of that level. I'm not expecting that, but if it does happen, we'll look for sales up there. But I think the best and most probable opportunity would probably be the break and retest of that low, looking for sales back down into that support there. Okay, so coming on to Aodu USD. So for this pair, we did see a nice move to the downside this week. Really nice clean move. I did say to you guys that we'll see a move up or a move down, but I said if you do break through this area, we'll probably see a completion of the range again, which has been happening for the past few weeks now. Once we break through this level, we see a continuation to fill the range. False break there, saw a continuation to fill the range, broke above, again another continuation to fill the range, and again this week broke down, saw a continuation to fill the range. So pretty much broke to the downside and filled that range quite quickly, and we're closing back above it now again this week on Friday. As you can see, just about bullish engulfing, closing back above this level here. So for me, I'm expecting just the same again for price to complete this range to the upside. You can see overall the market potentially could be turning bullish here for AU. We've got this low, new high, higher low, higher high. We could be seeing a higher low form for continuation to the upside. Again, won't call that just now. We'll wait for price to turn bullish first, and then I'll say looks like we're headed to the upside, because we can still come back down to the lows, especially if USD does continue its strength. So since we're holding above this, we'll be looking for a retest of this level on Monday to see if we can confirm that as support, because we did close above, but potentially we might just drop below, see the next daily candle close back bearish, and then we'll probably see continuations back down to those lows there. So if we can see on Monday price is starting to put some wicks here on the 4H of that level, starting to hold, you can drop to lower time frames and look for a nice continuation trade back up into the highs of the range, which is around 0.74. So that could be a really nice opportunity there. Like I said, if we start breaking through it and we see the daily candle close back below that level, we'll probably see a continuation to the downside and see a move back down into these lows here. So that could also be a nice opportunity. Again, risk to reward on that is looking very healthy. If we do get that break and retest, again looking for sells at the retest of that level, and looking for sells back down into those lows there. So depends what the market wants to do. Again, not going to have too much of a bias coming into this, just see what the market is doing with that level. If it's holding as support, confirming that price is broken back into the range, we'll look for completion of the range. If not, and we break straight below, we'll look for the retest and continuations back down to the around about 0.72 area for next week. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to NZD CAD. So NZD CAD was looking for continuations back to highs this week, all the way up here. As you can see, strong rejection from that, was looking for price to continue to that. However, when we did get the breakout, price broke straight back in, and it turned out to be a false break there. So NZD CAD did have a bullish bias. However, right now the market is ranging and struggling to break to the upside and struggling to break to the downside as well. So The market's either doing one of two things here. It's either having that massive push to the upside and now it's starting to consolidate / retrace, get ready for a continuation to the upside. So impulse, correction, impulse. And if that's the case, we'll wait for a break and retest of that area, and we'll look for entries on the retest, looking for position up to those highs up there. Or it's either doing a massive impulse here, getting ready, accumulating orders, and then get ready to reverse to the downside and just mirror that image back down to mirror that move back down to lows there. So the way to identify if price is actually continuing to the upside or reversing is simply just wait for the break and retest of either the high or the low of the range. So like I said, we'll wait for the break to the downside, and then targets overall down there, but of course you don't have to look to hold into that trade for that long, depending how long you want to hold your trades for. But we'll wait for the break, the retest, and the continuation. Again, overall looking for a push down to those lows, but you don't have to hold your trade that long, or looking for a push to the upside if we break to the upside, and then we'll be looking for continuation all the way back up to highs, which is around 0.90200, those highs there on the daily time frame. So it just depends what happens. I've got a feeling that price is probably wanting to break to the downside, but I'm not gonna have that as a bias, because we could easily break to the upside. But if we do break to the downside, just giving you a heads up, we'll look for that break and retest, and push down to those lows. So it just depends what the market wants to do. Again, being reactive to the market, not trying to guess what we think will happen. Wait for the market to break, wait for the retest, and then we get into our trades. Okay, so next up we do have pound NZD. So as you can see for this pair, we've been falling to the downside for the past few days now, and we are still looking quite bearish. So we still do have a bearish bias for this pair. If I go in the weekly time frame quickly, I do have my eye on this key level here, which is held as resistance and support in the past. You can see really strong support here on the weekly, strong moves to the upside, held resistance there for this kind of range here, broke to the upside, used as support, and we did see a push, and right now we're holding underneath it as resistance. So we do have some higher time frame reasons why we could still see some continuation to the downside. Going on to the daily, you can still see prices bearish, nice bearish trend line there, price is still respecting it and still throwing wicks to the upside. So pound NZD for me still probably will head to the downside again this week, back down to lows, maybe some new lows as well. So still looking to sell the market. Basically, as long as we can stay below this resistance here, we do have that bearish bias, because this is our previous lower high in the market. So break through that, we might be looking at some reversals, but essentially stay below that, we're looking for sales. So hopefully we can come back for another retest of this resistance here. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections of this area, so look for some retracement. You can probably drop to the hourly, maybe even smaller if you want to maximize risk reward, and look for sales back down into those lows. Or if you do break through that, again, the last area we'll be looking for sales is this resistance up here, just underneath 1.92, and again looking for sales back down to those lows. So still have a bearish bias for pound NZD coming into the week. If not this level, we'll be looking for sales from that level, and both trades will be looking for a push back down to lows, which is around 1.88500. Okay, so next up we've got CAD JPY. So CAD JPY, we had a bearish bias coming into the week for this one, looking for more downside, which we did see. We had consolidation here on the left not too long ago, which we broke out of. So we were looking for a retest of that for continuation to the downside. As you can see, price got the retest of the area, and then we did see some more downside. So we're still bearish on CAD JPY. Price is putting in this lower high, lower high. Potentially could be seeing more of that continuing on the lower time frames, and we're still holding below this key level here on the left, which did start this bearish move. As you can see, price is holding as resistance. So as long as we can stay below that, I'm looking for price to come and retrace some of these bullish candles here, because you can see not much retracement in that move. And I think potentially price could be getting ready to retrace some of that move. So I'm looking at the next push into the next psychological level at 90, then probably 89, then maybe even lower. Looking for a push for price to overall come and test that area if we can stay below that. If not, and price does break to the upside, we do have this trend line here and break past the trend line and past that resistance, then we might be looking at price continuing this bullish momentum. This potentially could be the retracement, and we could be looking at price continuing back to highs and maybe even some new highs as well. So we still do have to take into account both sides of the story, why potentially we could be bearish and why potentially we could be bullish. That's why I do give you both opportunities when I do analyze the markets. I give you the opportunity that I'm looking for, but also the opportunity that if that doesn't play out, what could also happen as well. So if CAD JPY does break through the trend line and break through that resistance, we'll look for the retest of that for buying opportunities to the upside, because again, the overall market, if you look at the daily, the weekly, even the monthly, really is bullish. So if you do see the market just run to the upside, we'll look for the retest of that. And like I said, continuation to highs is looking very, very good. If not, and we can hold that as resistance, we'll look for another drive back into the trend line / that resistance there at 91, and we'll look for sales to the downside. So just wait for some retracement, see what the market is giving you. Is it showing you rejections? Is it showing you bearish and engulfing candles, or is it giving you strong momentum breaking through that? If it is, look for the retest for continuations higher. If not, we'll look for selling opportunities back down to 90 and then potentially 89 next. But just looking for 90 this week, and if we do go further, that's just a bonus. Okay, so now we're going to see what's going on with pound USD. So pound USD this week, we saw some nice downside continuation. Overall, pound, that I said, looked to play the range between this support and this key daily resistance over here, because I said price might fluctuate between these two levels. So I did say potentially look for some buys here, which we did see the market kind of shoot up quite quickly, and sells from around that area there. We did see the market have quite a nice bearish move to the downside there this week, and we've just cleared these lows as well. As you can see, or if I can actually draw that in, you can see we just cleared those lows there as well. So potentially could see more downside again for pound USD. The market is bearish here on the daily and the higher time frames, and we've obviously broken, and we're still holding underneath that low. So this support here on the left will be term resistance, which could send us down. We've got the next psychological level at 1.33. Price could go and test that area this week. If not, and we break above this area, we potentially could just see the market fill the range again, back to the upside, back into this resistance, which also actually acted as support there as well. So it depends what the market is doing. You can see pound USD, the way it's been moving recently is quite not choppy, but the pullbacks are quite heavy. So you can see strong impulsive moves, pullbacks are quite heavy. So the lows don't always hold as resistance here. So you can see here, prior low, price fell to hold as resistance, broke above. Prior low here, price fell to hold that as resistance, broke above. So if that structure does continue, that pattern does continue, we might see the price break above, which is why I'm saying if we do break above, we'll probably go and fill that range. So look to see if we do break above, look for the retest again, wait for confirmations, and we do have a really nice risk to reward if that does actually play out. Looking for buys around there and a push into that resistance around 1.35 600. If not, and we maintain that resistance, then just looking for a continuation of this bearish momentum from last week, back down to lows, and test that next psychological level at 1.33. Okay, so next up we've got pound CAD. So pound CAD very much in a bearish market, as you can see, making those lower lows and lower highs. We did come up to a very strong weekly level of support around the 1.68 mark. So I did say last week we can be looking for buying opportunities back into the prior support and potentially the prior resistance, which are these areas here. So that was the previous support, looking for buys around here, or the previous resistance, which is this level up here. So basically the last low and the last high of the swing. So I did say don't look past this level for buys, because price might come back down and reverse and hit your entry. And as you can see, we didn't even get to that. We rejected this support term resistance, and that sent us back down to those lows. So pound CAD still very much a bearish market. Now we've had a nice pullback, we can look for some continuations to the downside. So looking for, hopefully we can get some retracements back into this area for next week, a double top, something like that, or a lower high near that area. You can drop to that hourly to maximize your rewards, or you can drop to even lower, maybe 15-minute as well, but looking for sales essentially from that level back down to lows. If price does break through this area and has a deeper pullback, then we'll be looking for trades around this area here. Really nice push to the downside. We'll be turning resistance again, looking for sales back down to lows, which also does line up with a really nice trend line. If I do zoom out for you, you can see really nice trend line here. First test there, nice move to the downside. Second test, nice move to the downside. So if you do have a deeper pullback, we'll most likely come and test this trend line, which does line up with that resistance quite nicely as well, and look for sales back down into those lows. So pound CAD still overall bearish market, looking to take advantage of that. Now we've had a nice pullback, so for next week, if we can hold into this area, looking for sales there. If not, and we pull back even further, looking for sales around the just underneath the 1.7 mark, looking for a push back down into those lows. Okay, so next we're going to take a look at pound JPY. So you can see pound JPY recently, big move up, big move back down. We're coming back into this resistance here, which is now going to be turning support. And similar to the USD CAD, this is our last move down before the big move to the upside. So this here will be acting as very, very strong support in the market. And we could be seeing a move to the upside from this area. As we go to the 4H time frame, so we'll be looking for buys this week coming into this support. You can see the market is a little bit choppy. We're treating this price action here mainly as consolidation, but it looks like we're forming a little bit more of a descending channel here as price is creating those lower lows and lower highs on those lower time frames. So looking for buying opportunities, but whilst price is in this kind of descending channel, it's difficult to buy because there's so many areas where people on lower time frames where you could easily look for selling opportunities and sell this pair back down. So the best opportunity would be waiting for an impulsive break of this, a retest or a higher low formation somewhere, and then looking for the buying opportunities, because at that time you have already the move to the upside you need. Now you're looking for the retracement to confirm to you it's not a false break, and then you can look for your entries to ride this to the upside. Whilst we're still in this channel, price could easily continue to the downside and actually go and break that daily support we have on the daily time frame. We don't have to reject that area. Of course, we could still break through. So whilst price is still in this descending channel, we could still easily do that. You could probably buy from a lower test, a test of the lower trend line here in anticipation for a swing to the upper trend line and potentially a breakout. That way you can maximize your risk to reward, but again, just slightly more risky, because again, we still do have that descending channel which could reject price right back into your entry price. So it's up to you how you want to trade it. Again, the better idea, the more the less risky idea is wait for the break, wait for price to retrace, confirm a higher low, or retest the trend line, look for confirmations and ride this to the upside. We do have a really nice target here on the left, which price was forming a lower low there and broke to the upside, give us a lower high, sorry. We broke to the downside, never got the retest, so still fresh resistance here. Price could be attracted to that area, so we could be seeing some nice buys back up until 154,700. If we can break through that, maybe back into this lower high all the way up there around the 156 area. So there's a lot of upside for pound JPY, since that from the higher time frames we know that daily, weekly, monthly, the momentum is to the upside. So we really could see momentum carry us to the upside with this opportunity. But first, we got to respect this level, because we could see a retest of that and price collapse to the downside again. So we do have to protect our trade, take some partials, but essentially we could be seeing a move back up to 156 if momentum does really kick in with the bulls. So looking for buying opportunities for pound JPY at a really nice daily support. Testing on the 153, nice psychological level, waiting for a break of that descending channel, a higher low, and we'll take some confirmations and some continuations back up into those levels up there. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to gold. So gold, massive move to the upside this week. Again, was not expecting that. Was looking for price to come and respect this very, very strong area of resistance, and looking for some moves to the downside. Again, nothing major, just expecting price to retrace after this big push to the upside. However, you can see price had other ideas, broke to the upside. Again, news did help with that move, but we are looking very, very bullish above that. And I think gold probably is going to be up trading up into these highs very soon. So overall still bullish on gold, but we are coming to a very key level of daily resistance. Well, prior daily support now turned daily resistance, which never got retested, so fresh resistance as well. So potentially could be looking at price respecting this area, coming back down, retesting this, which again, very strong resistance, never got retested before seeing the continuation. Or we might see price break to the upside, continue that momentum, and then to the continuation. Either which way, I'm expecting price to move back up to 1910. So looking for primarily buying opportunities. You can look for selling opportunities if you want to look to sell it back down if we do respect this as resistance. Slightly more aggressive because momentum on the 4H daily, weekly even, is very much to the upside, so you will be going up against it a little bit, looking for selling opportunities from this level. But if you want to, you can do, if we do see some nice rejection, and look for a test over 1835. But again, if we do come back and respect that, that will be a really nice place to look for buys, and a really nice swing opportunity as well if you're looking to swing gold, because the way price is looking up on the higher time frames, we do have a very high probability of price eventually reaching 1900 all the way up there. So looking for buying opportunities for gold. If you do come back and retest this, I'm expecting price to bounce and continue, or if we break above, looking for the retest of that, expecting price to fill the range from 1870 to 1900 up there. So bullish on gold, expecting more upside. We might retrace first before we get the move, but overall looking for a push into 1900. Okay, so next up we've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin overall still very much bullish on Bitcoin. We saw some new highs recently at around 69k, almost 70k. So yeah, saw some new highs. I did say last week to you guys that since we were holding this daily level of resistance over here, really strong resistance, and price was now holding that as support. I said if price does maintain that, I'm expecting a push to highs and higher highs, and we did see that continuation. Again, we were trading around here and we did see that big move. So overall still bullish on Bitcoin, expecting a push to 70k, which we still haven't hit. We got around 69k, so still looking for that continuation. We're coming back into this daily resistance now, turned daily support. You can see we're seeing multiple wicks into that area. So price is running out of momentum with the bears, and we could be seeing a continuation back to highs. Okay, so next up we've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, as you can see here, price overall is very bullish. We did see some new highs recently. Like I did say, I'm expecting a push to 70k. We saw almost that. We saw 69k this week before price decided to take a little bit of a dive. So again, we did have that bullish bias. Price was still holding above this key resistance here in the market. And I said as long as we hold that as support, price will probably see some new highs, and that's exactly what happened there with Bitcoin. So I'm still expecting a push to 70k, and now we're coming back to retest this resistance here now as support. And you can see on the daily, price is losing momentum. We're starting to see some wicks to the downside, some dojis, indecision candles. So I'm expecting price to find support here and then move to the upside. And we also have got this trend line here as well, with a first test there, second test there, looking at third, looking for a push up. So we've got some really nice confidence there for Bitcoin. So overall, as long as we can hold this area here, looking for some buying opportunities back up to highs, because we still do have to respect that resistance. But we're looking for some new highs at 70k before maybe price wants to take another breather. So looking for more continuations, but we do need to hold above that trend line and hold above that support. If not, we might be looking at trading into some of these levels down here again for Bitcoin if we do break below. But the market's bullish, high time frames bullish, no reason to be looking for sales right now. As long as we can hold above that, get some nice confirmations, I would say back up to 69k and maybe some new highs at 70k for Bitcoin.
Okay guys, that is the end of the video. Hope you all enjoyed that and found that useful. Like always guys, if you don't understand anything or agree or disagree with my analysis, let me know in the comments down below and I will get back to you. If you are enjoying the content and you want to see more, subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video. It really does help the channel out, and I do appreciate that guys. But anyway, have a great day, have a great weekend, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Nicely done, Meeks. Nicely done.